Good afternoon. Madam Clerk, are we ready? I'd like to call the Health and Human Services and Aging Committee meeting to order Wednesday, October 16th, a little after 1 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you could have a roll call, please.
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Ms. Conwell.
Present.
Mr. Sweeney. Ms. Stevens. Ms. Stevens is absent at the moment. Ms. Turner. Ms. Turner is absent at the moment. Mr. Miller.
Present.
You have a quorum.
All right. Anyone signed in for public comment today?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in. And I'd like the record to reflect that Ms. Turner is in attendance.
All right. Approval of the minutes from the September 18th meeting. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved by Sweeney, seconded by Conwell. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we have a few matters referred to our committee today, as well as a presentation from MedWorks. So if you could read the first item into the record, please.
Resolution 2024-0355, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to Friendly Inn Settlement Incorporated for infrastructure upgrades, expansion of program services, and operational support from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
All right, so Friendly, whoever the representatives are for Friendly Inn, please step up to the mic, state your name for the record. There's a button, a green button for you to push. And
The microphone is on.
you will present, for our guests, you will present to us what your ARPA application, and then we will have questions afterwards.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Yolanda Armstrong, and I'm the president and CEO of the Friendly Inn Settlement. First of all, thank you for having me here this morning. Not sure if you all know, but we are celebrating 150 years of service to the community right now to this day here in the city of Cleveland for the central area. A little bit about Friendly Inn Settlement. If you can remember back in 1874, which you probably all don't because we weren't here, but Friendly Inn was the place where a lot of immigrants, when they came off the boat, they moved right here to central area, and they found a sobering environment like Friendly Inn to go to either find family members, to find some type of workforce development, some type of activities to meet and greet other people in the community. And from that time on, the organization has grown tremendously in serving so many families, especially families that live below the 200% poverty level, in addressing issues related to food insecurity, issues related to maternal and infant health, youth leadership for our young people, HBCU college tours, and I can go on. But if you would like to look at our website at www.thefriendlyinsettlement.org, you will find out the plethora of services that we provide. The reason why I am coming today is because our organization, as we celebrate 150 years of service, the late Geraldine Burns, who was the oldest and the longest serving executive director for 33 years at our organization, built a beautiful 41,000 square foot facility back in 2003. When she built this facility, I think she thought she was going to be here forever and thought that everything was going to go well. Well, in my leadership these past 5 years, we have been just trying to keep, the doors are always going to be open, but trying to keep the infrastructure moving forward in the right direction has been a challenge. For us, in this facility, we have opened our doors to so many organizations, including Cuyahoga County with the SNAP benefit program, some of the programs that the cities offer. We open our doors to everyone, and we do not charge rent because they're serving the families in the community, and that's very important. But we have issues. We have issues when it comes to things like our HVAC system, our technology system. As you know, families, when their lights went out, about a month ago in September, people ran to Friendly Inn for help. And so we were allowing people to utilize, to be able to recharge their phones, to recharge their, any type of system that they had to recharge because they didn't have those things in the CMHA housing estates because the lights and everything went off. At that point in time, some community partners came together and was also willing to help feed families. So not only were we feeding people on Wednesdays and Thursday that week through our food pantry, but we had to will seek out community partners who actually took the time to give food to over 1,000 families right there in the community who had lost everything in their refrigerator because the lights were out. And so to me, that's a true testament of when community partnership comes together and collaborate with one another to be able to help families in that community that a lot of times people forget about. And so because of that fact, our organization this year was trying to raise $1 million so that we can not only improve the HVAC system and other things that are happening in our organization and needs to be rebuilt or reorganized or need new items like the security system needs to be upgraded. We also knew that we needed to expand our services because we had a lot of families that were struggling, especially coming out of COVID. You still got families that are not working but still want to come to the food pantry for food. We had 4 pantries that closed right around our area, so therefore Friendly Inn was that pantry that was serving all those people. But by the grace of God, we were able to get some additional funding that came in to be able to purchase more food from the food bank to be able to give to families. Even though we do have support from Hunger Network, it still was not enough to be able to feed that many people. We've expanded our services, so we're doing a lot more. We're doing some work with juvenile justice now that our young people, unfortunately, who have been in the system have now come out of the system. We're trying to reacclimate them back into the community and make sure that we get them connected to job training skills as well as back in the school district. We started a program called Rosie's Girls 4 years ago, and that program is a program that really speaks to teaching our young girls that, yes, there are a lot of traditional jobs that are out there, but then there are a lot of non-traditional jobs that many young girls probably didn't even know that they have an opportunity to experience. And so we started that program 4 years ago, got certified, but was struggling with getting funding in. And now we're about to expand that program because our friends, our brothers and sisters on the West Side have said, hey, we want to be a part of Rosie's Girls. So next year, we'll be expanding that program to all young girls on the West Side as well. I could go on and on about the program and services that we have and our infrastructure issues, but I'm going to stop right there because I will say that we did have an event, a fundraising event, not last Friday, but the Friday before, and raise some dollars, but we always need more dollars because the cost of getting stuff fixed is astronomical. Being able to partner with PNC right now has been a blessing because, as you know, we don't have a bank in the community. And having gone through the Leadership Cleveland program, I have been able to build some bridges with some folks, some private folks as well as public folks. And one of those is having the mobile network. The PNC mobile banking unit now comes on our grounds to be able to provide banking services to families right there in Central. So it's things like that that I want to keep growing in the organization, but it takes dollars to be able to do that and needing that support. And that's why I'm standing before you today, because I do need the dollars that are being given through the ARPA funding to help continue these services that we have, to expand our services, and then to get some things fixed within our building. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a lot.
Yes.
And that's one of my passions is I know that we have a lot of nonprofits and they're aging buildings and things of that nature. Unfortunately, we don't have any funds, or we can't use our HHS dollars to assist with those aging buildings. So it was a blessing to some degree when we got the ARPA funds in order to help organizations such as yourself. But you know, that money, it's just, you know, it's such a great need and never nearly enough money. And so I was going to ask, my question was going to be, have you had any private fundraising attempts? Because there's many organizations out here or foundations that are very generous when it comes to program or operational support, but never for the capital improvements.
And that has been our struggle. So if you know anything about Friendly Inn, and I knew it when I took the job, but I like the challenge. All of our program services are reimbursable grants, and so unfortunately, they do not pay for those extra costs. And because of that fact, that's why fundraising is so important. But it also allowed me an opportunity to build relationships with folks. So I am looking for a few good board members to come on board that understand the whole thing about the commitment of bringing dollars into the organization to be able to handle those unrestricted funding needs that we have. And so I will say to you, though, that I am applying for a grant tomorrow, a capital improvement grant, but I don't know how soon, when we would know when we will receive it, and then how soon they'll be able to start working on some of the things that we need to address in our building. But it's open. It's a place for people to come to and people feel safe. And we have a partnership right now with the SNAP benefits, and they're there every Thursday. And you should see the people standing in line at 7 in the morning, even though they don't start till 8:30. And so now we let them in, because what heat we do have, we don't want them standing out there and it's cold like it was yesterday. We want people to come on in and keep warm while they're waiting to be served.
And that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, so, because HVAC could be the heating or the cooling. So yours is more so the heating?
Well, to be very transparent with you, it depends on how it feels. So, but we just had two companies come in to give us an estimate of what it would cost to replace it, because we can be in the wintertime and it is freezing, and we can be in the summer and it could be very hot. So it has its own brain, and unfortunately, it was something that was built or put in our building in 2003. So you can only imagine it needs to be upgraded. And of course, their only thing, the people, when we call them, they're putting a Band-Aid on it temporarily, because they're like, look, lady, you need a whole new system. And I'm like, okay, well, when I get those dollars, then I will be probably not calling them, but calling somebody else.
Ms. Armstrong, what was that estimate that they gave you for the HVAC system?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's like $67,000 for that system.
And these funds that you're going for today says program services and operational support?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from my colleagues? Councilwoman, you had your hand
Oh, no.
Jump in if you don't mind.
up? Okay.
Madam Chairwoman.
He pointed to you, so.
No, I was just, it's in our district. I was just.
Yeah. No, I'll just make a comment at the end.
Thank you. Your passions jumps off, right off your whole being here. You want to take care of the people. And I'm familiar with the Friendly Inn settlement from my times in the city of Cleveland. I wasn't there in 1803, but it's done a lot of wonderful work, as you just said.
Thank you.
And I'm pondering, because we all have the ability to have a little bit of ARPA dollars that we can make recommendations to the full body to do something. And I'm sitting next to Dale, and Dale's like, quit being a cheap Alex Sweeney, throw $5,000 in. So, because Dale prodded me and the work that you did, would you be okay, Madam Chairwoman, to the
sure.
local council person to add 5? It's not a lot, but it keeps
Every
you
bit.
giving, a little bit helps.
Yes,
And
definitely.
Now the 67 could be 62, or the operational need. If you don't have somebody operating it, it has no chance of existence.
Right.
So given operational dollars, some people don't like to talk about it because it's not sustainable, but to keep it operating is vital to have it in existence. So
Thank
we'll
you.
5, and if the council all agrees to it, we'll add it to it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
This guy here.
And
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
Trevor, can you be my lifeline? So that's a question I have to you, Trevor, is since this resolution states specifically program services and operational support, the HVAC system doesn't fall under that. It would have to say, also be inclusive of capital, right? If we wanted to give.
Yeah, correct. I think if we were going to do a separate capital award, I would probably recommend we get a new an additional ARPA application because it is for two distinct purposes. And I would like to separate those two just administratively so we can do that. I believe the sponsor indicated that she would actually like to bump this up to 15,000. So we will have a proposed substitute for this one.
Okay. Plus Sweeney's
plus-
5, unless, Sweeney, you're going to put the 5 toward the capital? Because he wants to do separate. To you. So would that be to the capital?
Yes. Thank you.
Do a separate, so we'll finish out today with the amendments for today, and then, so what's that saying, Ms. Armstrong, is that you'll have to do another ARPA application just for the capital dollars.
And, Madam Chairwoman, if I can, I just want to, I'll talk it over too with legal just to make sure, but I think the separate ARPA item just because they're for the two different items. So, if it's okay with you, I would like to do the proposed substitute for this one under second reading at the next council meeting because we haven't had a chance to draft that yet. And I'd rather it be in front of the body before you consider it.
So that'll be for the additional 5.
Correct,
So
for
today
the
we'll-
operating
We'll
component.
just pass it out as regular?
Please.
Okay. Councilwoman, you had something to say?
Okay. Well, just basically wanted to thank Ms. Armstrong for the passion and dedication that she pours into the Central community. I had the opportunity to attend their 150th anniversary celebration last weekend, I believe. It was amazing at the Shoreby Club, and the young people that you uplifted in that program just remind me of myself as a person who was reared in that community. My mother, all her siblings come from the Central area, and I know how important having Friendly in Settlement was for me and my cousins. We would go there for programs throughout the summer and free lunch. That's my best memory, free lunch. So anyway, I think, when we have a seat at the table like this, it's important that we give back. And I want to thank you for allowing me to serve you and your organization, all that you do. Best wishes, and I'm sure I'll see you somewhere soon.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Could you add my name to this legislation, please?
Yes,
Mine as well.
the whole committee. All right, so Ms. Armstrong, I don't know if you understood what Trevor said, so expect additional funds for this particular one that's in front of us, but they want to do, we'll pass it out of committee today as it is, and then we'll amend it on Tuesday night at council, the additional funds that Councilwoman Turner will be providing, so it'll,
Sweeney.
well, Sweeney is going to go on the capital, which has to be a separate one.
Oh,
And so that'll be for that one, and then Trevor today will email you a new ARPA application for you to just talk about your HVAC system.
Yes.
And the needs that you have, and then you send that back to him, and then Sweeney's 5,000 and plus whatever I decide to put in will go to that.
Thank you.
Okay, and
Thank
that'll
you so
give
much.
me an opportunity to also, Friendly in Settlement originally was in part of my district, so I'll revisit and I'll come out sometime next week and stop by and get a tour.
Awesome. We'll make that happen. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
any
you to all
other
of you.
questions from anyone? Because we cannot have any place that is helping the poor or others to get a lift up be cold. We just can't do it.
Right.
So, all right, so I'll make a motion to move R2024-0355 to the full council under second reading. Is there a second?
second.
All right, moved by Conwell, seconded by Turner. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Leave
Have a
your
great day.
card with the clerk.
Yes,
for me.
will do. Thank you.
And I'd like the record to reflect that Ms. Stevens is now in attendance.
All right, and Ms. Turner, I don't think did you get Ms. Turner when she
Yes,
came in?
yes, we
All
did.
right. Madam Clerk, if you could read the next item into the record.
Resolution 2024-0357, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to Positive Plus for the Victims of Crime Conference and Retreat from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Thank you. And who will be presenting today, please come to the front, push the green button, and state your name for the record.
My name is Yvonne Pointer. Hello, everybody. I want to say I am so grateful to be here today, and a special thank you to Mayor Turner for this privilege. Now, I said, don't stand up here and start crying. I said it, but I think I'm going to do it anyway because I'm just grateful for this privilege. You talked about operational needs, and as you may know, my daughter was murdered on December 6, 1984. So I've been operating out of my pocket for almost 40 years. And that's not a complaint. It's a blessing to do it because you want to see your community safe. You want to see children safe. I'm still a happy resident of the Glenville community, and we already know who the best councilman is, but I won't say a name. But anyway, we're here today, and you have some information in front of you to request funding for our victims' conferences. I've been working with families who've been victimized by violence ever since my daughter's homicide. What I found is that my desire to stop the violence seems to be falling into a bottomless pit. So we are also shifting our focus to working with families who've been victimized by violence to empower them to become a part of the solution. You know, we always talk about what this person is not doing, the mayor, the councilman, the president, whatever. But we want these families to know that as victims, you can participate in your own recovery, in your own healing. And we do that through these annual conferences, step number 1, where we bring to the table. Some years ago, the amazing councilwoman, Fannie Lewis, said to me, you got to get to the table. So a lot of these families aren't able to get to the prosecutors or get to the homicide detectives or get to the judges. So we do these conferences where we bring these individuals in, and then we just sit them in front of the families, not in an accusatory tones, but to get information, because we know information is powerful. We do something called the Pastors and Police Luncheon, where we bring pastors and police together. I think that if we could just find a way to get together, I'm just crazy enough to believe that we can find a solution. I just believe that once you are empathetic and you've been victimized by violence, you are more likely to become a part of the solution. We just did a documentary with the Greater Cleveland Film Festival where we interviewed some families on a documentary called More Than Just a Snippet. And we're so thankful for GCUF for airing that, because a lot of times on the news it says, black girl killed on the east side, black man killed on 55th, but you don't know who those people were. So we did the documentary that delved further into the lives of the victims. Also, you have in front of you a copy of the book that we are doing. We're getting ready to do the second one, is Write the Vision, where we are also empowering the families to tell the stories about who their loved ones were. And Judge Rick Bell spoke for us recently, and he was the prosecutor on my daughter's case. And when I went in, we had to have a come to Jesus moment, because she was just another victim. But I had to identify her as a person to him. And that's what we do with these books, More Than Just a Snippet. And I could go on and on and on. We meet monthly. We have a collaboration with the library to utilize their facility. And since we have no standalone building, our operational needs are great, but we also work with people who give us their facilities so we can utilize it. I don't know if I'm stopping now for questions, but I do again want to thank you, Meredith, for this opportunity. We have had conferences where we brought in people from around the country who have been victimized to also show families that they can make it. My story just aired recently on Dateline, and so I'm now collaborating with Dateline to bring in some of the families that they've highlighted. And what we're just trying to do is empower families. I don't know if we're going to ever stop the violence. I used to believe that we could, but I know now that maybe I should focus on after the fact and how do we empower the families to do better. We do a nightly Facebook Live show called Hope Haven, and we are able to bring people in to also give out information. We're information-based. And again, I'll just stop because I could talk about this forever for questions.
Right, so the ARPA dollars that, request that is before us, what is it specifically for? Will it go for another conference?
It will go for our next conference, yes, and to help facilitate additional workshops. A lot of times, what we do that's so important about the conference, we try to take these families away from their lifestyles and take them to a hotel or resort where they are pampered. We have facilitators. And then in the past, we paid for their rooms. This is a no-cost conference to these families.
And it looks like from the brochures that you've provided us, every 2 years?
When funding permits, yes. We did not receive enough funding on last year, so we did a one-day conference at the Cleveland Public Library on Lake Shore. And that was still just as wonderful, but it just didn't give them the overnight stay in the hotels and things like that.
Right, any questions from my councilwoman?
Thank you for the work you do on behalf of all of us.
I'm trying not to cry, so don't say anything too emotional, please, but thank you.
It is unfortunate that violence of some type touches most Americans anymore. While it might not be directly, it is someone we know and love occasionally, and that is wrong. So people like you intervening is incredibly important. So our live streaming of this program is incredibly helpful in that you can tell us where and when. So you are talking about an event that happens once a year, but I also heard you say you do something every month.
Yes.
What do you do and where every month?
We are at the Lexington branch of the Cleveland Public Library on the first Saturday of every month from 1 to 3. And it is open to anyone who have been victimized by violence or any type of trauma. You don't have to have a child or loved one murdered. Some people are just living in trauma through domestic violence, through depression, through suicidal thoughts. So all are welcome. And it's 1 to 3 p.m. at the Cleveland Public Library on Lexington.
And can anyone attend at any time? Can they do multiple visits?
Absolutely. And here's what's wonderful, it's free. There's no cost. And what we try to do during those sessions is, first of all, the sessions are called What Happened Was. And they get a chance to tell what happened to them. And then we base our facilitators based on what the needs are. Our first our workshop coming up in November will be Dr. Lynette Graddick, who works with depression and suicide, and she's a counselor. So most of the time, unfortunately, in our communities, we don't seek counseling. We don't even know we need counseling. So we do it in the form of a support group. And that's what you're going to find at those meetings, support.
Unfortunately, I know a few people in this book, and so it reminds me that we have to be ever vigilant to try to stop this violence.
Can I say about the book?
Yes.
We were able to raise funding to self-publish the book, and so all of these stories, there was no cost to the families. We do not sell the books. we give them away. So if you know families who've been victimized, it is our endeavor to tell the stories of people who have survived, and this helps them by telling a story. We just collaborated with Signal Cleveland to start our second book, and we're so excited that once again, since we don't have operational dollars, Signal Cleveland is donating the editors and the space and the
Oh, that's
food.
awesome.
Yeah, we're so grateful. So if people is watching and they have a story to tell, we welcome you to reach out to us as well.
And so the easiest way to reach out to you is by emailing you?
Yeah,
So
Yvonne,
for live stream purposes, would you tell us your email, please?
thank you. It's YvonnePointer@AOL.com.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
So, Ms. Pointer McCreary, I know you by Pointer.
I do
I gotta get
too.
used to this. But did I say that right, McQuarrie?
McCreary, and I have to get used to it too, so don't feel bad.
My question was, when? Oh, I know you said 1 to 3 Saturday, every
The
Saturday?
first Saturday of every month. It's once a month. As much as I would like it to be every Saturday, I am a organization of one, maybe two on any given month. So once a month is enough.
Any other comments or questions?
I want to say that the conference is during Victims' Rights Week, which will be in April. So if people want to know when is our next conference. And we are really excited about planning something with this funding that will secure an overnight stay, massages, and something just to pamper the families. But it will be during Victims' Rights Week.
Okay. I just wanted, well, first of all, welcome and thank you for all that you do for the population of people that you serve. We have used these ARPA dollars in some very creative ways, infrastructure, buildings, programs. You kind of remind me, we had Louis Moore here a few weeks back, and I'm telling on you, Louis, but he wept like a baby right there.
I'm ready.
There are people in our community that, like you said, have been doing the work for many years on your own dime, and I'm choosing to invest some dollars in humanware. Some things, we can't fix, but that don't mean we can't try. So I just want to thank you for your leadership in this area. I had the honor and privilege of being on your show a couple of months ago, and we were just sitting there as I was given the platform to tell my story, which I'm still telling my story, and it turns out that my cousin was on your show, Morris Irvin Jr., and he was talking about his book, Reflections of a Troubled Black Man. And you said to me, wait a minute, your story sounds just like this young man that was here, not too long ago talking about his story. And in his book, he chronicles the murder of our grandmother by our grandfather and what that has done, what the trauma has done to our family. And so it seems that he is working out his pain. I think he says pain pushes you and purpose pulls you. Mm-hmm. And so we can't necessarily change the things that happen to us, but I think it's important for us to seek the purpose and why those things happen. He's finding his purpose. You have definitely found yours. So, Gloria's life will never be in vain for all the souls and lives that you have touched. So it's just an honor, again, and a privilege to be able to support you in this work.
Thank you. And I wanted to also say that her case was solved through doing DNA. And so I'm currently also working with a project called Porch Light Project, because I'm talking to families every day who want to know what happened. So we'll be doing DNA testing as well in our conferences, and we can maybe try to get some of these cases solved.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we move this to the full body of council.
It's been moved by Stevens, seconded by Miller. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And Madam, if you would add my name to this legislation.
Yes. You can add mine and Stevens. Yes, ma'am. Thank
And Mr. Miller, I see it shaking his head.
you. Okay. And Mr. Miller. So we have a first and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I just want to let you know, Ms. McCleary, that these take, all ARPA applications or funding takes 3 readings. So there's no second reading. Pass November 12th.
Thank you.
It should have its final reading with council.
Appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate you.
Madam Clerk, the next one is a presentation.
Yes, we have Ms. Britta Latz and Ms. Rosemary Pierce from MedWorks.
Hello, how are you all today?
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having us. And thank you
Excuse me,
even
Ms.
more
Pierce,
so.
if you could speak into the microphone, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you even more for granting us a gift last year, about a year ago exactly, to expand oral health care and dentistry throughout Cuyahoga County. We know that oral health is intrinsically linked with the overall health of our body and chronic disease, especially those which are most frequently occurring in Cuyahoga County. And because of your gift, we will be able to expand our impact on oral health on individuals in the county for many, many years to come. So thank you for granting us a gift a year ago. And today we want to talk a little bit about what has developed in the last year with our organization. Britta Latz is here with me today. She is the executive director of MedWish and now the CEO of MedWish and MedWorks. MedWorks Board of Directors announced plans to merge with its longtime partner, MedWish, about a year ago. Britta is going to talk to us a little bit about who MedWish is and why our merger makes a lot of sense and will help us to increase our impact in the years to come.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for having us. Excited to be able to share with you, as Rosemary said, a little bit about what's been going on in the last year at MedWish MedWorks. And just to share a little bit as well, just about MedWish's background, and then Rosemary will share a little bit about MedWorks as well as a reminder for anyone who might want a little refresher. But as a merged entity, MedWish and MedWorks are uniting under our shared mission to bring care and connection to communities near and far, helping our neighbors on a path to better health right here in Cleveland and around the world. Our combined mission is to promote health and a healthy planet by connecting communities with high-quality, volunteer-driven healthcare, repurposed medical supplies, and the vital health navigation needed to live healthy lives. So as you'll hear in this, the really important thing with our merger is that we are bringing together the programming of both organizations, and then we are working to deepen the impact that we were making individually, but now as a combined entity, we'll be able to do so even more. So to share a little bit about MedWish and the work that we've been doing. So MedWish was founded 30 years ago in 1993 by a local physician named Dr. Lee Ponsky. The name Ponsky might sound familiar, as his brother Zach Ponsky founded MedWorks in 2009. And we were established to be able to create a pipeline between the excess of medical supplies that exist here in the U.S. health system and the scarcity that impacts people around the world, but also here in our local community, who are unable to obtain those same supplies. And so today, we partner with over 250 different healthcare organizations. We are really, really fortunate to be embraced by the major health systems that are here in Cleveland. We also go once a month down to Columbus, but for the most part, though, it's right here in Northeast Ohio. And we are collecting over 600,000 pounds of medical supplies and equipment that otherwise would be going into local landfills, collecting dust somewhere, or just otherwise not being used. So in our 30 years of existence, we have collected over 9 million pounds of supplies. So the environmental impact that we're making for our local community is enormous as well. In turn, we then have an incredible, incredible force of volunteers who help us to sort, vet, count, check all of these supplies to make them available for redistribution. We are really dedicated to a no double standard policy. So if it's not considered to be good to use on me, it shouldn't be distributed to be used on somebody else. And so our volunteer process is really important. And every year we have over 2,500 volunteers who come through our warehouse. Last year it was over 3,500. I also want to point out that we have a skill building program, which is a program for individuals with special needs who come to our warehouse for vocational training, occupational therapy, or other skills-based learning. We partner with around a dozen different organizations that are from right here in our local community, bringing almost 200 participants to our warehouse, sometimes on a weekly or multiple times a week, to be able to participate in that program. Then our local impact. So then once the supplies are vetted and packed and ready to go, we then are working to distribute them to people who are in need. We were initially founded as an international aid organization, but there is great need here in our community as well. So in 2018, our board announced and launched a pilot program to be able to start distributing aid domestically, and that program has grown enormously since that time. Today, we work with over 300 different nonprofits and social service agencies who come and submit wish lists to us of supplies that they need to support the health and wellness of the people that they serve. This might look like an organization like Another Chance Ohio, who has a free store and has hygiene supplies, wound care items, mobility aids that they're giving out to the local community, or it could be social workers in our local healthcare systems that, because of Medicaid, maybe only covering a rollator, for example, once every 5 years, someone is unable to get a new one if it breaks, or if a copay is too high, they might be able to come to MedWish, MedWorks, and get those items free of charge. Our local and domestic distribution is entirely free of charge thanks to philanthropic funding, and so there's no barriers to receive these items. Last year, we were able to impact an estimated 47,000 people in Ohio through this distribution. So we're really excited with this merger. I'm going to let Rosemary share a little bit just about MedWorks as well. But as I shared, we are continuing all of this same programming with the merger and just being able to really combine the various aspects of the ways that we're supporting the community through their health and wellness. But by bringing it under one roof, we're able to be a one-stop shop for all of it. So I'll turn it over to Rosemary.
Thank you, Britta. And we recognize that the synergies make sense right now with MedWish engaging in international giving, but it also provides a permanent home for MedWorks, and it reduces a lot of overhead costs that are duplicated across the organizations. So we are going to be more effective in the non-exciting ways, but certainly should run more efficiently as an organization and have more impact in the community externally. MedWorks, many of you were here last year, so you know who we are. So I'm just going to kind of brush through real quickly a high-end impact of what we did in 2023. As you know, we are an organization that provides free health care throughout the community, no questions asked. We go into neighborhoods to provide care. We engage a group of over 700 volunteer physicians, medical professionals, and community members to provide that care. Our physicians are not on the clock. They are able to take time to build trust with patients and really help them to buy in to medical care and the facilities that can provide that care. We know that trust is a barrier to health care in Cuyahoga County. Last year, we provided 8 clinics in Cuyahoga County, medical, dental, and vision clinics. Our patients come from 190 different zip codes. 75% of our patients live in Cleveland and the inner ring suburbs. So here is a breakdown of the highest penetration zip codes that we have, with 120 and 128 being definitely the deepest. So 10% of our total patients come from 120 and 128. As I mentioned, we have over 700 volunteers that provide our care. Here's one of our volunteers that's been with us since 2009, Randy, who has our logo tattooed on him. He's very passionate, as are many of them. In 2023, we engaged our volunteers for a total of 6,500 hours. We are people helping people. We provide front-facing partials at our 2-day clinic that is happening next month in approximately 3.5 weeks, exactly 3.5 weeks, at the Huntington Convention Center. This woman here has just gotten new front teeth. So that's pretty life-changing. What makes us unique is that we have a navigation program. Our navigators are in the community daily, connecting individuals with social safety net services and wrap-around care. We have standing partnerships throughout the county with places like the Cuyahoga County Justice Center, Edwin's Towards Employment. We work with those who are re-entering society, recovering, or just in need of care and services. Our navigators connected with over 8,500 people in 2023. And now we are on back to the ARPA grant. And that last picture was a picture from our 2-day clinic. You could see some of our volunteers are showing the ready sign. They are ready for the next patient. And you could see the portable dental chairs that are set up there in the background. Those are rented from ADCF, but now we have our own dental chairs that we can take anywhere. So Britta will talk a little bit more about where we stand with the budget and our expenses to date.
Thank you. So again, we just really want to thank you all for investing in our operations and this programming to allow us to be able to really expand what we do. And to give a budget update with where we are to date, we have around $105,000 left, with having spent around $144,000 to date. So this has enabled us to be able to purchase, as Rosemary shared, our own portable dental chairs, which a few of them are going to go into use next weekend in the Juvenile Detention Center. Portable dental units, which allows us to provide dental care using these portable chairs. Instrumentation, moving costs to be able to ship these things to us, and then our denture program startup, which is incredibly exciting. This is a new program that we will be offering at the 2-day clinic in a couple of weeks, and I'll allow Rosemary to share a little bit more about it. But these are the expenses that we've had to date.
So on November 8th and 9th, for 2 days, we will transform the Huntington Convention Center into a large-scale dental clinic. We will have over 100 chairs. The chairs and the equipment that we have recently purchased with our ARPA dollars will be set up there. That will be set up in the denture care unit, where for the first time ever, we are offering full dentures to patients, completely free. Patients will receive the dentures on the same day. They will be made in-house. This is truly life-saving and life-changing. As you know, or may not know, but could imagine, it's very difficult to walk through life without front-facing teeth, especially. It changes your smile, the way you interact with other people. It changes your confidence, maybe your ability to secure and maintain employment, and it impacts your health in a great and very, very real way. So for 2 days, we will be using our newly purchased equipment, which we're very excited about, and will deliver the care that we have always delivered at this clinic. This is our 7th year. We provide fillings, extractions, front-facing partials, cleaning, screenings, and this year we're offering and adding many additional medical services, podiatry, mammograms, dermatology, thank you, HIV screening, vaccines. So it's very, very exciting. It'll be a one-stop shop. We're working as hard as we can to make this feel like concierge care, to, again, build trust and really provide as much bang for the buck for each of our patients and maximize their time. We are also taking our dental chairs into the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Detention Center, and as Britta mentioned, that is happening this month. We will enter the Juvenile Detention Center for the first time. Our board member and lead dentist, Dr. Roger Hess, and our lead dental volunteer in our front-facing partial unit are going to conduct a screening and emergent care clinic. So they are going to help all the patients or inmates that have immediate needs, and they will return in December with several more volunteers and all of our dental chairs and units to provide cleaning, screenings, and restorative care to all of the inmates at the Juvenile Detention Center.
And then we are also currently connecting with the University Hospital's Glenville Wellness Center to be able to learn about the space that they are operating and exploring mini clinics that we could host there in partnership with medical professionals to be able to offer screenings, and hope to be able to bring a dental chair into that space as well to be able to offer dental screenings in addition to other biometric screenings. And then with regards to next steps, certainly we still have funds to be spent, and we have been working and have plans for those, and we are very excited to be able to fulfill all of our purchases through, additional instrumentation and other capital improvements that we're working on with our website and other things like that. We are excited to be able to provide updates after our time in the JDC, after the 2-day clinic, when we will have all of these chairs operational. In terms of the JDC, we are working with them to review an MOU to go back to JDC in 2025. And so really, our October and December clinics this year are our jumping off point, and will be what we hope to be the start of a long-lasting partnership to be able to provide this ongoing care, utilizing these ARPA chairs and units. In addition to that, our denture program, this is our first pilot program this year, which is incredibly exciting. It's an investment to be able to get us going, and we will be doing a several-hour training on the Thursday before the clinic launches on Friday and Saturday to be able to train up our medical professionals to be able to do this year over year. We know that the denture sets are around $150 a piece, and so we are going to be working into our budget to be able to continue to offer this programming. But through these startup costs, we're able to really launch this pilot program. So we're just incredibly excited about this and see this being as a great need that we're able to fulfill. Thank you to these ARPA funds. And then in addition to that, once all of these items are purchased between the chairs and the units and the instrumentation, it really opens up a lot of doors for us. So we're really excited as a merged organization. Obviously our board has merged, and we are working on our new strategic plan moving forward. And having these mobile units really allows us to be able to broaden and look at a lot of different partnerships in addition to JDC, in addition to the denture program. So we are really excited about what's next and appreciate the time to be able to update you on where we are today. And certainly in the next couple of weeks, all of these things that we're talking about are going to be taking place, and just really excited to be able to continue to share updates with all the great work that we're able to do thanks to your incredible investment.
Thank you both. In terms of the event at Hilton, how are you marketing that for particularly our seniors out there that may need the denture help or whatever the case may be?
So our navigators take flyers with them wherever they go. They're in the community most days of the week, and we have a team of volunteers actually calling community agencies to say, can we drop off flyers, and then we are dropping them off. We have surveyed our patients to see where did they hear about us. Most of our patients report that they heard about us through Facebook. So we will and are using social media to advertise this clinic. We will have some bus ads, a limited number because of the expense. We also do direct email campaigns to our patients. We, over the years, have, I think, 5,000 patient emails, so that's a great way. And we do find that our patient rate of opening up emails is higher than you would expect. And we can text many of our patients that we have phone numbers for as well. But if you have other ideas or places to advertise to, we will get the flyers to them, or digitally or in paper, for sure.
I know I'm assuming that there's somebody's email. The homeless, female homeless shelters and things have always participated. So I'm assuming that you probably have the director, Melissa Sirak's email.
I don't have her director.
Because I know it used to be Ruth Gillette years ago was the director, and she always had a connection, but I would definitely,
The shelter on Superior?
yeah,
Yes.
Norma Her.
I
Payne.
went there last year, and they were not so welcoming. But if you could give me that name, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I did with the last person who was before us, would you tell us where to look on Facebook? Do we put in MedWish or MedWorks, or how does this work?
Right now, we still have two handles. So you could find us under @MedWorks USA or @MedWish. Is it international or just MedWish?
Well, I see MedWish International,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then do we put in Cleveland?
If you just type in MedWish International, you should find all the information on Facebook through that social media platform, and then MedWorks USA.
Because the first thing it did was to show me reels in Ukraine. And so that's why I was like, where do I go?
We do have a pretty active Facebook platform. So if you scroll down, the information about the clinic, I know that something was posted, I believe, earlier today or yesterday.
And just on Friday, our team packed shipping containers for Ukraine. So that is pretty recent and new. But
I'm still scrolling through. Oh, finally I've come to something in Cleveland. Last week, Cleveland rolled up their sleeves and put on their latex gloves. Okay. So it's mixed in with a lot of other stuff. You can't put in MedWish Cleveland?
If you look up, so with the merger, we are maintaining both social media platforms right now. As Rosemary shared, building trust with our patients is really important. And so one of the things that we wanted to make sure of was that if we were to change a name or anything like that, that people would know where to find us. So MedWorks USA certainly has information about all of the clinics and the different offerings, if it's for volunteers or for patients. So if you're looking for specific information on the clinics, MedWorks USA might be the quickest way to be able to find that information. But our new name is MedWish MedWorks, so you can keep an eye out for, eventually we will be relaunching our social media under that name. But for right now, I want to make sure that everyone can still find both.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just think it's important that folks be able to access this. And sometimes all they have is a phone or a shared phone among them. And so they're not getting a lot of time on this phone to look for what is limited access. We know that we don't have enough health care, and the work that you do is incredibly important. Because if there's any hope for folks to ever stop being homeless, for example, they need to be in decent health to maintain a job or stay in a unit if the housing is provided by one of the folks that provide subsidies for affordable housing. So this is a great link to providing health care, and especially since some of our institutional health systems don't always seem welcoming when people who don't fit their profiles enter the door, meaning people without insurance cards. So this is very important work, which is why I ask how we find you. So for all of our constituents who occasionally watch these live streams, ways to find you is incredibly important. Thank you.
We appreciate that feedback.
Councilman Miller.
So, Madam Chair, through the chair, I also agree that this is incredibly important work. We have some of the most prestigious medical facilities in the world in Cleveland, but at the same time, we have thousands of people who, that it's a real challenge for them to get health care, and your work is making a difference. And my question is do you operate out of any permanent fixed locations, or is the work done entirely through the short-term clinic events that you described?
So the answer is twofold. So we do have a warehouse space that's at the corner of Payne and East 31st Street in Midtown. And that's around a 60,000 square foot warehouse where our supplies and equipment are brought in, sorted, and then distributed out of. In terms of our clinics, those are at off-site locations, at partner locations, like we mentioned, the JDC and the Huntington Convention Center. So we are not providing healthcare at our warehouse specifically, but we do have operations that are happening at a fixed warehouse.
So do the locations provide the space free of charge, or is there rent involved that you have to pay?
With the exception of the Huntington Convention Center, yes, the locations provide the space free of charge. We also go into existing FQHCs and community health centers, such as Otis Moss Jr. We were at Westtown this past summer. We have been to Otis Moss Jr. a few years, the healthcare center in Euclid. So we try to go to existing facilities where we can access the medical equipment that is already there. It also provides an opportunity for our patients to connect with potentially a permanent medical home and a place where they can get follow-up care.
At an event like the Huntington Convention Center event, how do you manage the large crowds and run this program in an orderly fashion?
Hours and hours and hours and hours of planning and months and months. We have a pretty seasoned team of event planners and experts that help us to plan this. And we're returning to the Huntington Convention Center for the 7th year. So they are familiar with kind of our operations as well, which helps. But we do have a dental chair who leads this, who is also returning for the 7th year. So every year we get bigger and better at what we do. We reflect on what worked, what didn't work. But we do have a pretty good flow, I have to say. We flow everyone in through the main floor, and then they go down to one of the 2 exhibit halls. This year we're moving to the larger exhibit hall because we're offering more services, and we hope that we have more patients as well. But we use the meeting rooms on the main floor of the Huntington Convention Center for waiting rooms. We have kind of several different stages and queues along the way. And this year, we're offering an opportunity for our patients to access other services while they're waiting. So they're not sitting for hours waiting for their care, but they're able to maximize their time while they're there and get other services.
So, to some extent, do people get appointment times, or do they just sit and wait for their turn?
So at some of the clinics, there are appointments. For the 2-day clinic that's happening November 8th and 9th, there are not appointments. The doors open at 7 a.m. and lines form well before that.
4:30 is the earliest that I've had a patient tell me they arrived, 4:30 a.m.
And I will also add with regards to patient flow, also want to say thank you because some of the ARPA funding is earmarked to help us to replace some signage and to improve our signage because that flow with that big of a crowd is so vital.
So, I'm going to follow up on some of the earlier discussion. I can't imagine how I would find out where and when the services are if I didn't know from what we heard today. And I mean, how do people find out about these things that are just scheduled as episodic events for a couple days here and there, and how do they find out what services are available and how to access them, and how does that communication work?
So several ways: email, social media, brochures, and some print ad. We do engage somebody to help us with media marketing for this event. We only work off of earned media, but we do already have a couple of on-air spots secured on Channel 3 and Channel 8, and we're working on several others. We should have some live day of coverage as well. So we get a little bit of TV and a little bit of radio. I got us on Sam Silk Radio last year, which was great. I think that really, really helped. We have a list of 375 partners, and we do advertise through our partners. In that, I mean that we ask them to share our posts and to share our flyers with their constituents. So we really try to engage as many people as we can to help us get the word out without it being terribly expensive. Marketing is so important when you're a nonprofit, but it is one of the hardest things to earn money for, right? Nobody wants to invest in marketing. So we try to be pretty savvy and use free marketing as much as we can.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Just one of those curiosity things. I saw a 60 Minutes program on one of the programs once, and it was like this phenomenal thing. It was some small town in Tennessee, and there were 6,000 people who were trying to get onto like a fairgrounds. Is that still true, that we end up with 500 to 1,000 people someplace like Cleveland?
Last year we had 1,000 people. Last year we had 1,000 patients enter the Huntington Convention Center. We ended up with 880 charts. So we definitely provided services to 880 people. And on average, each person received 2.5 services. But yes, and you're probably talking about RAM, which is Remote Area Medical.
Yes.
What we do is
couldn't remember.
modeled after them.
And it was just amazing because, as you can see, I have a little ophthalmological engagement going here on a regular basis. So, of course, they had a piece that focused on people who needed new glasses. And I was in tears watching people cry because they got new glasses for the first time in like 10 years.
We did that just a couple of weeks ago. On September 28th, we were at the Cole Eye Institute. We had just under 200 patients, and most of them received new glasses. I took a patient testimony at the Vision Clinic from somebody last year, and she had brought 4 of her grandsons. None of them had ever had an eye exam, and 2 of them, in fact, needed glasses. And when she took her sons home and told her daughter was weeping, and she was like, they've been struggling in school, so, yeah.
Well, if you can't read, you can't study. Your life expectancy, the quality of life you're going to have, it's limited.
We are trying to, actually, as we speak at this moment, the guy who started our Vision Clinic programming is at the MedWish warehouse checking out our vision equipment and determining our capacity for doing vision screening at this 2-day clinic that's coming up. So we hope to have that at that clinic too.
Madam Chair, thank you for thinking of doing this for us. And would you add my name to the legislation?
Yes.
And if any,
Ms. Stevens, there's no legislation related to this. This is just a presentation.
Yeah.
That's right, we're just here getting a report, duh.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have one more question.
Yes.
My question is, how is what you do different, or what more can be done, or what does this add compared to someone just walking into their nearest federally qualified healthcare center that's open every day at a fixed location?
So what more could be done, or what are we doing differently than an FQHC would do?
Yes.
Well, we could talk forever about what more could be done, right? Because if we're doing our job perfectly and we've bridged the gap, then ultimately we no longer exist. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen. Most likely there will always be a need for what we do, right? And gosh, what did I hear on the news this morning about hospitals and how hospitals are continuing to become inaccessible to people? And, it's just, I thought, wow, this, there's so much work to be done. But how are we different than an FQHC? Some people have health insurance and they're afraid to use it. They don't understand it. They're afraid that there are going to be hidden fees and bills. So they might have Medicare or be on the access plan, but they don't use the care that they have. So we have navigators that can explain the care that they have, how they can use it, where they can use it. And we also have volunteer physicians that aren't on anyone's clock. So they can really take time to listen to patients and address their problems and hopefully build confidence that the patient needs to establish a relationship with a long-term facility. Last year at one of our women's health clinics, a patient wrote a thank you note to one of our volunteer physicians, and she said, "I am 54 years old. I have never, ever had a physician spend that much time with me, and I learned things about women's health that I never knew." So it's amazing, right?
Okay, thank you.
And I do know, Councilman Miller, even if you have Medicaid, I was so passionate about them being able to get the dental part up, is because even if they go to a FAQ or a dental clinic, Medicaid takes so long. If you got a toothache, you can't be waiting for months and months
That's for
for
sure.
an appointment. So I've heard those stories from the community as well.
In
So
addition, when you call them to get guidance, you can sit on the phone for over an hour waiting for them to take your call.
this program is very helpful, and hopefully it will be sustainable for many years to come. I'm glad that not only I, but my colleagues supported this endeavor, because we know it's going to help so many individuals that, are faceless to us, but we are very grateful that they're going to get your help. So thank you for coming in and reporting. I do appreciate that. I'd like everyone to be open and transparent of how the dollars were spent, that were put into our care. And I think we've done, as my council colleague stated earlier, Ms. Turner, that it's just been some phenomenal things that got done with the ARPA dollars across this county, and you guys are one of them.
Thank you, Yvonne. And I will send a flyer to Sharon so that she can share it with all of you, and you can share it with anyone that you think might be interested. And you are all absolutely welcome to come to the clinic. It is phenomenal. We would love to give you a tour.
And I'll make sure that I have Levine connect you with Director Sirac from the Homeless Services. I just want to make sure, every time you guys have a dental clinic, to let them know in the community, because I'm sure that they need the help.
I'm actually going to 2100 next
Okay,
week.
so that's LMM, that's the men's shelter. So we also have the female shelter.
Yes. And they're both in our neighborhood, in our new neighborhood. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I have a friend that does programming at 2100, so I'm going to do a little spiel and pitch the clinic over there.
Okay, good job. Well, thank you both for coming down.
Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned.